right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, an I-Team exclusive. A city jail whistleblower says city officials are lying.
It was a full riot. They can say what they want, it was a riot.
What he says happened the morning a guard was taken hostage.
Well, on the final day of August, we hit 80 degrees. We know that's not very normal. What the difference between where we should be and where we were is, and what we're expecting as we head into the month of September.
But first tonight, no regrets.
People are walking out of their doors and they're seeing the change.
The mayor of Jennings defends his actions after resignations, lawsuits, and canceled meetings.
First tonight, a story you'll only see on 5 on Your Side. The mayor of Jennings breaking his silence. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Mayor Gary Johnson says he's on a mission to move his city forward, despite members of his own council publicly at odds over his leadership. 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon is live at City Hall now with his exclusive interview. Brent.
Well, Mayor Johnson tells me the reason he's in office right now is because the people put him here back in April to bring change.
But I'm personal and I put my heart and passion in this job.
It's why perhaps these images of Mayor Gary Johnson trying to block an emergency city council meeting from happening raised eyebrows.
As the chief executive officer of this building, which is the City of Jennings building, I have the authority to open and close the building.
It was August 18th. Council members met anyway to try to overturn resignations and terminations the mayor recommended. Now the city is suing to declare that meeting invalid.
The mayor, I confirm or accept agendas. So that agenda had not been sent to me to confirm or reject. And we had people in the meeting executing things in the meeting that no longer worked here.
Afterwards, 5 council members signed a letter announcing their plans to take a vote of no confidence towards Johnson, claiming in part he's created a hostile working environment.
Have staff resigned under your leadership?
We did have staff resign, and we only had 2 city staff resign.
Have there been terminations?
There were terminations earlier this month that were voted on by the council.
Did you have any influence on those terminations or resignations?
I most definitely did.
He says he's trying to create a better city hall.
Residents should feel comfortable walking in this building with the question and leave with the answer. And that's what has changed here.
The vote of no confidence never happened because at the next scheduled council meeting, those 5 leaders didn't show up.
Have you heard from any of those 5 council members since the meeting?
I have not.
Have you reached out?
I've reached out.
Take a look at your screen tonight. I got this statement from Council Member Nadia Quinn. Quote, "I'm working at the moment to attempt to save this great city from absolute litigation. Mayor Johnson is unwilling to admit to any mistakes. Therefore, he is unwilling to make any attempt to correct the unethical, illegal votes that took place during closed session. The council will do what is necessary to protect the city of Jennings from his abuse of power." End quote. You can watch my full, unedited interview with the mayor right now on ksdk.com. Mike.
Brent, thanks. You're looking live now downtown. It's a cool night for August.
Weather First meteorologist Gary Frank is in for Scott tonight, and things are about to change, Gary.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, we know we're still going to get hot even as we work our way into September and through the month of September. But it's nice to get a little bit of a break, especially as we go outside right now. It's a great evening to be on the patio and look at the airport. It's quiet outside. Even in the city, it's still pretty mild right now at this hour. Temperatures felt steady at 69 degrees and east breeze at 5 miles an hour. That dry air still remaining in place. And I think just like last night, you can open up the windows if you have not done so already. We're headed for another cool night with 57 degrees and a light breeze. What we're focusing on into the holiday weekend, it's going to remain dry and pretty nice. We're going to start to gradually get more humid and temperatures will work their way back above average. Our average high right now is about 86 degrees. And over the coming week, things will change. And that's going to be the big story for us as we head into that weekend. Rain chances will also start to increase as we see that humidity rise. We'll discuss how that may impact sort of some of your holiday weekend and, of course, track our temperatures as we work our way in the month of September.
Another inmate from the St. Louis City Justice Center died today. That's the second inmate in less than a week to die. Public safety leaders are saying little about today's death other than it was a medical emergency. He was taken to SLU Hospital where he later died. Autopsies on both inmates are still pending toxicology results. Meanwhile, our I-Team is getting new perspective on another incident at the Justice Center just last week. An employee who knows all too well about what goes on inside says their bosses aren't being honest about a hostage situation earlier this month.
They sat down with our Christine Byers, telling her frequent failures are leading to a dangerous situation.
It was a full riot. They can say what they want. It was a riot.
This worker at the city's Criminal Justice Center asked us to hide his identity so he wouldn't lose his job. What he called a riot began at 6 a.m. August 22nd. 2 inmates attacked a 73-year-old guard and held him hostage in a shower. The I-Team obtained this footage showing how it started.
How was an officer left alone with 2 inmates like that?
I don't care what anybody says. Those 2 people shouldn't have been out.
Following the attack, Jail Commissioner Jennifer Clemens Abdullah defended the center's procedures.
We had adequate staffing, and it was doing the normal operation of serving of the meal. And they saw our opportunity and they took it.
That was a lie, and I think everybody knows it's a lie. Only one person should have been out at a time, and arguably they should have been handcuffed or shackled.
And when the jail commissioner said the inmates were passing out breakfast trays,
the idea of an inmate in a special management unit helping pass trays is asinine.
The guard was shackled in the shower for 2.5 hours before a police SWAT team rescued him. In that time, inmates trashed the place, according to the employee.
When the inmates took the keys and took over the security bubble, they were able to go over to the other unit and start letting people out. But at least 40 or 50 of them came out. People were assaulted on both sides from people in the opposite unit. The bubbles, the security bubbles were destroyed. They pulled out the fire extinguishers and were using them on the officers. And they popped the sprinkler heads. They jumped and pulled down the TVs in one of the units.
The I-Team also obtained this still image of officers inside the unit.
Do you think that city officials were truthful when they were describing what happened?
No. No, all they wanted people to know was about the hostage situation. They didn't want people to know that there was a riot.
This wasn't the first time something like this has happened. In 2021, the city's downtown Justice Center made national news when inmates broke windows and set fires.
What is the difference between this riot and the riot that happened a few years ago?
Not a lot of them. They didn't break out the outside windows.
The employee says tensions have been brewing because Clemens Abdullah's administration is not following its own policies.
And our policy says that they're supposed to get rec every day. They shouldn't be locked down for more than 23 hours a day. That's the policy. That's the standard. That's a national standard. But we don't follow that. We're not designed for punishment. It's a jail. It's pre-trial. This isn't prison.
Do you just think that type of treatment leads to violence?
I think for an extended period of time it does, yeah. These guys that you've been pushing and leaning on for some of them months at a time, you can't be surprised when they act out. I don't know what human wouldn't.
For the I-Team, Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
Now, the I-Team has asked the mayor's office how much damage was caused to the jail, and they also made a request for surveillance footage from the attack. The mayor's office has not yet responded. We will update this story when we hear back. If you have a tip for Christine and the 5 on Your Side I-Team, you can leave a voice message. That number is 314-444-5231, or you can email Christine at tips@kstk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.
The man who pled guilty to stalking women across the country was in a St. Louis County courtroom. Our I-Team has followed repeat cyberstalker Robert Merkel for years. Today, a judge sentenced Merkel to 7 years in prison. He's already in prison after a guilty plea in federal court for similar crimes. This sentence will be served concurrently.
The newly formed Charter Commission is facing a challenge the day after its inaugural meeting. The 9-member panel is tasked with rewriting the city's charter, which is more than 100 years old. Now a group of attorneys and retired judges in the Holy Joe Society are suing to dissolve the Charter Commission, arguing its very existence is illegal and unconstitutional, and any amendments to the charter would have to come from the Board of Aldermen.
Today is International Overdose Awareness Day, and to continue fighting the opioid epidemic, St. Louis County announced all of their libraries will now carry the life-saving overdose medication, Narcan.
Individuals who need a kit can request one with no questions asked. While library employees will not administer the Narcan, the library social workers that I mentioned earlier are trained and authorized to administer the drug in the event of an opioid overdose.
Last year, 449 people died due to a drug overdose in St. Louis County. That's actually an 11% decrease from 2021. St. Louis area families have been fighting overdoses for decades, and tonight they remembered the loved ones they lost.
People gathered in Kirkwood for a vigil and overdose awareness walk. And 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski has more now. She joins us in studio.
Mike and Ann, the organizers of this overdose awareness event, honored the families and the loved ones they lost to drug overdose with a prayer and by saying their names so they'll never be forgotten.
I lost my son, Jeremy Burke.
I lost my son, Brandon Davis.
It was September 20th, 2018.
Robbie Rainwater, Forever 31.
The founder of the peer grief support group Soul says their mission with events like this and their work every day is to reduce the stigma around substance use disorders that not only impacts those who are addicted, but also their families. To show the true magnitude of this epidemic, posters with hundreds of faces lost to overdoses lined the fence of Concordia Lutheran Church, and along the bottom, shoes to represent each victim taken too soon. One organizer said she lost her son to an overdose when he was just 21.
The availability of Narcan is so critical. I carry it in my car. And I think if that had been available with my son, maybe he would have made it that night. Ben was a great guy. I miss him every day and always will.
They released doves over the crowd before they hit the streets with posters honoring each person they lost, with the hopes of showing others they're not alone in fighting addiction. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, we have links on KSDK.com to resources.